How's it going, Parlay people? I got a pick here in this Week 6 matchup. We got the Rams versus Ravens. This matchup's going to be taking place in Baltimore. We got the line set, money line in favor for the Rams set at minus 400. And then we see for the Ravens money line at plus 305. The spread is set at 7 with that total at 44.5. Like I said, this matchup is in Baltimore. Both teams are coming off of losses. Ravens coming off a very bad loss against Houston, pretty much getting absolutely blown out. They had a lot of injuries to the defense as well as their offense, but just pretty much an unacceptable loss at home, even with the injuries they had. Obviously, they didn't have no Lamar, but still allowing 44 points to already, I feel like, a struggling Houston offense is just pretty much unacceptable. Then we see the Rams as well losing a game that they were very favor on against a very injured 49ers. At home, we see the Rams lose. That is a division game, so we kind of can't be too surprised by that because I always say division games, you never know what can happen, especially when you're giving points like 7s and a drive in general. It's always kind of like a little bit questionable for division games. Either way, both teams are coming off of losses, nonetheless, no matter how they lost. The Rams defense is coming off just a rough outing, like I said, at home in general. They allowed 7 scoring drives out of 11 drives against that 49ers offense, which had a lot of backups playing. So that's just not good. They only allowed 4 punts. That's just pretty much unacceptable. 7 scoring drives is just not what you want to see from a defense that was pretty much healthy and was number 1 in sacks and pressure. So just not what you want to see. A game that you're supposed to win, and that's how you perform. I do expect a bounce back game for this defense. I do expect them to play very well, and I know they have to play well, especially with the circumstances they have. Especially going into the season, as obviously they expected this matchup to be a lot tougher than what it's going to be. So I think this is a must-win game for the Rams. The pressure is going to be key. I feel like the pressure they're going to put on Cooper Rush is going to be key on whether they can get turnovers or not. Like I said, going into the last week matchup, they were number 1 for sacks. And they're pretty much up there in general. They put a lot of pressure on quarterbacks, and they're able to get to them a lot of times at night. For the Ravens, like I said, we already know they have no Lamar. I have a big feeling just no Lamar, no Ravens. I don't think this Ravens team is going to be very well without him. I think that it's very structured on talent and not a lot of leadership. And I think when it comes to teams like that, when you see talent leave, I think they are chickens with their heads cut off, and they don't know where to look at the end when they're down. And when it comes to those later coming through adversity times. And a lot of players are out, and the players that are the ones that are going to give those answers, they are out. So it's a very struggling time for this Ravens team. They're just with all the injuries. Cooper Rush, through 1.5 games, has 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Pretty much useless in a sense. Pretty much you're better off having a lot of other backups. It's just not looking well for them. Derrick Henry, a key player that you expect to do well. Someone that, especially in this matchup, you need to do well. He hasn't even broke out for 50 yards in a single game. A player that last year was possibly one of the best backs in the league behind Saquon. And like I said, through 5 games, hasn't even got over 50 yards. We've seen the struggles with the turnovers. He's had those fumbles. So just hasn't been his year. Just the Ravens as a whole just hasn't really been it. Especially already knowing that the Rams need a win. Like I said, they're coming off that loss and they expect to win this game. They have allowed 92 yards to Pollard, the Rams defense, to Tennessee's Pollard, and they allowed 76 to Jonathan Taylor. So I could see Derrick Henry having a better game than he has, especially seeing that I expect them to give him a lot more carries. They only really gave him like 15, 16 last week, which was surprising. I do expect them to give him more than that and for him to see a lot more action. I expected, like I said, Houston to beat up on to win the Ravens, but not to really beat up on them like they did. They pretty much spanked them. They gave up 44 points. Not having Lamar is no reason to give up 44 points to the Houston. Like I said, that was already struggling. So it was just overall, Ravens are just not looking good this year. They struggled winning those tough games even with Lamar and just even without them. I think going into that, if they had won those games, I think it would be a lot more possible for these backups to do a lot better. But I don't think they're feeling it. Anybody's feeling it this year for the Ravens. So I will be picking the Rams this game. I think it's similar to the Colts and Cardinals. It's more of like how I'm going to pick it because obviously I'm not going to pay 400 for the Rams. We already seen them be a minus 400 favorite against the 49ers, and look what happened. So realistically, if they're going to win this matchup, they're going to win this matchup by a touchdown or more. Like I said, look what the Houston did. So I do expect them to cover that 7. I would lay that 7. I don't mind it. It's not a bad price being able to lay the spreads. The spreads always is a fair price as long as you don't you find no reason for them to win like that. And this circumstance, I don't find no reason why they shouldn't win by 7. Another thing would be the over. I do like the over at 45. I feel like the Rams will get high 20s, even 30s is not a surprise if they put up 30 points and the Rams just put up 10, 15. I think they need to put up something like 10, 15 at the least. I could even see the Rams putting up even 40 points. I mean, that shouldn't even be a surprise, and pretty much all Ravens have to do is put up a touchdown. It's something I haven't put too much thought into, so I wouldn't lean towards that over too much. It was just a slight lean is what I would do. But something I do like and most likely a pick that I would do if I am picking this game would be Puka. His over 8.5 receptions is at plus 100. So that's pretty much an even pick. You're getting your money back. I really like that pick in these past games that we've seen him. We've seen him have multiple 10, 8, 9 reception yard games. He's been pretty consistent this season, and I wouldn't say pretty consistent. I would say more than consistent. I would say he's pretty much turned into their number one receiver in the fact that the opposing team's number one corner is on Devontae Adams. So for the most part, Puka is freed up as if he's the number one. So he's been receiving a lot more action as if he's that number one receiver. His receptions through these 5 games have been 10 against Houston the first game. The second game he had received 8. The third game he had 11. The fourth he had 13. And just this last game he had 10 against the 49ers. Like I said, it's set at 8.5. The only game he didn't get that 8.5 was against Tennessee, where he had 8, in which he did rush the ball a few more times. So I think he was more a key player in that sense. So I do see him getting over that 8.5, as well as Puka to get a reception in every quarter. If your books allows it, it is like a player prop. But if you can find it, Puka, a reception every quarter. He is 16 for 16. He is now, he is 20 for 20 now through the 5 games, 20 for 20, a reception every single quarter. Obviously, 5 games, 4 quarters, 20 for 20. That's something I will be riding pretty much every week for him to be able to do that. Like I said, Devontae being freed up, he is getting a lot of receptions. And from seeing that 49ers game last week, almost on every starting drive, it's Puka Nacua screen pass. So watch out for that. That is something, like I said, is something that I've noticed and why I really am leaning towards that every quarter, Puka Nacua, a reception. As well as Rams second half, I do like them. It does bring that if you want to see that money line price, you don't want to, lay points or do no player props. If you just want a money line, let me get something on the game. I do prefer Rams second half money line. It is a little bit more, but it's at that minus 205. The Ravens won just 1 second half, and that was just against the Browns. So the Ravens have found a way to pretty much lose every second half that they have played through these 5 games. I do expect the Rams to win that second half. Even if they are close the first half, I do expect them to pretty much pull ahead and win that second half. So those would be my picks, especially those Puka player props. I do lean towards that more than anything. If you do like my thoughts and opinions on these games, just even if you appreciate just the time I'm putting into these videos, I do appreciate the likes, and definitely subscribe. I do want to get these subscriber counts a lot higher than what they are. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Please comment you guys just thoughts on the games. I would like to hear what you guys' picks are just for these Sundays matchups, and I'm going to try to get to as much as games as I can to this Sunday. So I'll catch you guys on the Sunday slate, and let's kick the shit out of the books.